I think we were kind of slow to catch on to what the hurricane was gonna actually be. And we were still in our house the morning of the 27th, the big flooding. The moment things started snowballing was you went for a walk, just pouring. I remember seeing you in our big rain jacket. And Brhi went to the river and I think saw that it was starting to creep over the banks.
We had recently bought the house. I think we were there for a year and a half at that point. Poppy was, I think, 10 or 11 months at that time. So at that stage, we started making a practical plan. We're like, when it reaches here, we're gonna worry about this. When it reaches this, we're gonna worry about that. When it reaches our front step, which was elevated, I was like, okay, we're gonna need to do something.
Baby on Brhi, bag on Brhi. I had a couple bags of our stuff. And I remember walking off the porch and the water was so orange and it was moving fast at that point. And I have this distinct image in my mind of helping you off the porch with Poppy strapped to her. Just, you getting waist deep in muddy water at that point. And Poppy was kicking her legs. She was like, this is great.
We got to the car, realized that was quickly not gonna be an option. And so that's when we evacuated to the school. And eventually we got to the second floor where we could see our house. And so throughout the whole entire hurricane, we watched it unfold in front of us. We saw the water line, we saw our car float down under the bridge.
And then the water dropped pretty quickly, actually. Mud, debris, logs, dead fish, trash. And eventually we made contact with a search and rescue crew. The search and rescue guys were like, you can't go into your house.
I was a distraught enough mother.
Yeah.
And Poppy at the time, she wasn't breastfeeding anymore, but pumping. And so I had no food source for her. And I need to get to the house. And I think that sold him.
Yeah. So he went in. And when he came back, he was like, guys, I'm so sorry, but it's pretty terrible in there.
It was months before we realized that we weren't going to be able to go back to our house and that life.
We're fortunate that her parents are here. We were able to stay with them for a few months. They're able to help out with the baby. We're fortunate that MANNA really worked with us on this. They gave us space when we needed it. They helped out financially right in the beginning, and they really worked with us to get us back to work as well. I just think of so many people across the region who are still in the state of where we were months ago, of how do I get through this? How do I recover? How do I just meet my basic needs? There's so many people just still at that level. So I'm just so grateful and feel fortunate and lucky just to be stable.
Moving forward and having to, we want to resettle, we want to buy a new home eventually. I think that community piece is really important to me. I want to feel a part of the community. Again, we lived in Old Fort for maybe 2 years, a year and a half, and the way that town rallied was pretty cool to see. And I think that's been a tricky thing, having to let go of the town.
Yeah.
You remember that little cafe in Old Fort where this community woman just kind of rallied and she made meals for everyone up to 6 months, I think. She did 3 meals a day for anyone in that town. And I matched that with our partners. And I think how essential it is to have a variety of foods. I'm on the food sourcing team, so I kind of see what we bring in and the donations we get. And then to match that with, now I've eaten a meal at one of those partners, you see the importance of what we're giving to our partners. That really opened my eyes on, the variety and the types of food that food banks and partner agencies need.
Today we're both still engaged with the work at MANNA FoodBank. It's been a long year. I think there's been a lot of how do we meet this immediate need? How do we how do we serve a staggering amount of people who are in need, and how do we get back on our feet so that we can keep doing this work, for years to come.